Hey, all right, welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. This is Riffin with Raff, the stream of the show where I interview and converse with people that I find interesting, inspiring, motivational. And this is a very impromptu episode we're recording, and they're always kind of like off the cuff this way. But I'm happy to welcome to the show Sierra Stauffer. She's a colleague of mine. We are eating lunch today. It's just super opportunistic. And we've had a couple bites of our sandwich already. I'll give you the backstory in a minute. But as we were talking here, she said she likes to listen to podcasts. I said, I have a podcast. And then one thing led to another, and I said, let's record an episode, because I think she has something really, really interesting to share, which we're going to get into imminently. But first, let's talk about how this happened, because I love unexpected circumstances that bring people together. So Sierra and I are colleagues. We know each other. We work together on different occasions. But, you come in 2 days a week. You were just explaining. Where do you live, Sierra?
I live in Winchester, so it's 2 hours from the office. The office is in Arlington, but it's a beautiful drive. So during that time, it's my therapeutic time. I get to take in the scenery, listen to podcasts, jam to music, have solo karaoke sessions, whatever my heart desires.
Wow, solo karaoke. I respect it. You should be making a podcast like I do. So partly this is very selfish. I'm explaining to you what my podcast is all about. I just record these types of moments in my life, conversations with people that I like. And then also, one stream of the podcast is called Hot Yoga Problems, which is me driving home from my yoga studio where there are thoughts going through my mind. It's a very stream of consciousness. I just hit record as I'm driving. So I'm just telling you, a podcast studio could be in your car. You could be creating content. But if you did that, you have to talk about something you're passionate about. As we were thinking about what the show topic would be today, you suggested this pretty broad concept of entrepreneurship. And I kind of pushed a little, I don't know, that's a little bit too broad. You said, no, Rob, we need to talk about entrepreneurship. And then you told me why, and it basically melted my brain. So please explain how you are an entrepreneur. Not work related, but like outside of work. What is this jam that you have that I'm so excited to learn about today and share with my audience?
Sure. So outside of work, a little backstory here.
Yeah.
I have worked in animal rescue since I was 14 years old. And in rescue, one of the biggest problems in getting animals adopted is that they don't have good photos and people don't see them out in real life, because a lot of times they're in foster homes, or they're at the vet, or they're housed at a rescue, and adoption events are limited. But for me, as someone who has pets, I've just always enjoyed taking photos of the pets. And I'm not currently on the board of a rescue, but I have been on the board of 2 different rescues. And with the second one, they kept talking about, this is such a problem. And I said, well, look at these photos. I can maybe take some photos. And pretty soon, then another rescue was asking me to take photos. And now there's a horse rescue that wants me to take photos. And I've turned it into a business.
This is so amazing. I love it. It's so cool. And I have so many questions. Let's back it up, though. You're 14 years old. By the way, you can please continue eating. This is so informal. There's no problem if you delay, if our mouths are half full. It is literally like someone's listening to us at the table next to us in a crowded restaurant, so no stress. You said you were 14 years old when you first started this. So first of all, tell me a little bit about your love of animals. What were your first pets? Are we talking like goldfish, gerbils, cats, dogs, hyenas, large farm animals? Give me your backstory a little bit. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Utah, and I was obsessed with horses. I was like the shyest kid you'd ever meet, but I also had insomnia, and I would stay up late and sing songs about horses and how much I wanted horses, but we couldn't have a horse. Wouldn't fit in my bedroom. That's the reasoning my parents gave me. So I begged and begged and begged for a cat. And that was the first animal I got. I had a cat named Julius. He was not orange, he was gray. And he was my best friend for almost 20 years.
And it was a good substitute for the horse. It was okay. It was adequate.
Yes, it was adequate. I don't know that you can compare horses and cats in hindsight, but as a child,
it worked.
It was
4
enough.
legs,
Yeah.
And it was your cat, Julius. That's a great name. And you said it wasn't orange, but was it named after something else then?
So my grandparents had an orange cat named Julius that had passed away fairly recently. And I don't remember Orange Julius at all now, but at the time I did. And so I wanted to name my cat after Julius, and I did not understand why it mattered that he was a different color, because my parents kept saying, but he's not orange. And I was like, so?
It's okay. It's not about the looks. It's about the memory.
Yes.
And this is an interesting thing. In my family, we have tons of animals. I grew up in rural West Virginia. Cats, dogs, chipmunks, whatever. Got everything out there. Not chipmunks technically, but I did have a couple ferrets at a certain point. But in terms of the naming, the approach to naming animals is always interesting. Yours is like a namesake, which is kind of cool, a legacy. We had a couple of those, but we would always call them 1, 2, or 3. So we had this one cat called Moki, which is short for Smokey, because she was gray and white. But she died, and then we got another Moki. We had Moki 2. Moki passed away. Moki 2 passed away, and then we have Moki 3. I don't know what Moki we're on this point. We have lots of cats, and some of them don't look like the original Moki, right?
Sure.
So it doesn't have to your point, you're kind of like, it's a nostalgic thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get this, I respect this, you're a kid, you grew up, you love animals. At certain points, you want to be a vet? Do you want to be, like, when do you start volunteering? And I guess 14 is when you jump in there, but, like, talk to me about your evolution as your...
Yeah.
All right.
So, I did want to be a vet.
Yes, every kid wants to be a vet. If you like
Yes.
animals, it's like, yeah, I want to be a vet. Then what? You realize you have to put animals to sleep. I don't like to do that. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a vet for a very long time, almost until I went to college.
Whoa.
And so my parents were like, well, you should start volunteering. But they didn't want me to be volunteering at a rescue until they had proved that I was responsible enough to be a volunteer without them there somewhere else. So I volunteered at the local library for a while. And once,
You're dealing with lots of animals there, people, you know.
yeah. Once they had decided that, like, okay, the librarians say she's productive even while she's not being supervised, we think we can trust her with going to a rescue. There was one called Friends in Need, and
Wow. Is it still around?
it is still
I'm going to
around.
put it in the show notes if you can send me the link, okay?
Yeah.
Friends in Need. Okay.
So I volunteered at Friends in Need. They were a rescue and sanctuary. They had everything from dogs and cats and rabbits to water buffalo and yaks and emus.
Yaks.
And Patagonian
First of all,
cavies.
rescuing a yak is an interesting proposition.
Yeah, so the yak had been, I don't know how it was transported here, but it had been transported to Utah to become a trophy on someone's wall.
Yaks aren't native to Utah, right?
No.
Okay, so it's like coming...
So they had actually brought a yak, 2 yaks, a water buffalo, and a Watusi.
This just seems so
To
off
sell-
the rails, dude.
Yeah, to sell as trophies, but they were caught.
Oh.
And so then it was like, what do we do with these? And so the sanctuary took them.
Was anyone were you trying to actively rehouse them, or just sort of like accepted you're going to be taking caretakers?
Nope.
Okay.
So sanctuary residents were permanent. Rescue residents were adoptable.
Okay. This is really interesting. And so you probably remember what stands out there? Do you remember like the first time that some cats that you ever saw were adopted, and they were like, oh, that felt really good because like you saved the cat or something like that, right? Does that sound right? I'm just making this up. But.
So this particular rescue had almost no public-facing presence. So it was pretty uncommon that animals got adopted at all because no one knew that the animals were available for adoption or that the rescue existed.
Is that a problem? I mean, that seems like it's a pretty fundamental flaw.
It definitely was a flaw. So most of the animals ended up just staying there their whole lives.
So it was an animal sanctuary that just kept growing and growing.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of space that could keep expanding or no?
They had a couple acres, so it was a good amount of space, but like for dogs that were indoor pets, that just had some outdoor time. Like they had a rotation where different groups of dogs would go outside at different times. But and they were all adoptable, and they wanted them to find homes, but they had no one knew they existed.
And it just lived off like volunteers, basically?
Yeah.
And the goodness of someone who set this thing up.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very generous.
The founders of Friends in Need, Kim and Karen, they bought their house and then turned it into a rescue, so they lived there.
Wow. Okay. I'm getting a picture here. I'm taking a bite of food, thinking about my next question. 14. You start when you're 14. Did you do this when you were in college? Did you continue your not maybe at that place, but somewhere else, or
So, I continued until I graduated high school, and then in college I went 3 hours away. And I guess you can say it's a pattern for me to commute a significant distance because I kept my high school job and I would hitchhike. I didn't have a car, so I would post on the college Facebook page and be like, who's going to Utah County? And I would just ride with anyone who said that they were back down for the weekend. I'd work 40 hours over a weekend, and then I'd catch a ride back up.
I love your life, dude. We gotta write a book. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So you would go back and would you volunteer sometimes?
I would volunteer sometimes, but because I didn't have a car, I was limited on if I could get there.
Gotcha.
If a friend or a family member was willing to go with me.
Okay.
And then after I dropped out of college, then I went back more often for a while. There was a while where I wasn't really involved. Mm-hmm. And then there was a cat lounge that was founded.
I see. That's interesting. Those are kind of recent. Like a tea and coffee shop with a cat?
This one's different.
Oh, okay.
So,
explain.
There was no food there.
Okay.
It was literally like you could bring your family, bring your friends, be in a room with 45 cats at once, just play, relax, get your dopamine fix.
Your cat fix, yeah.
But the model was that we would pull from overfull shelters. And so we'd have like 45 cats in a room, and people would just come and play with them, and they were all adoptable. We would turn around like 15 cats some weeks, sometimes more, sometimes a little less, but we adopted out hundreds of cats.
That must be, this was pretty rewarding. You
yeah.
So man, what a great story. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
You're telling a great story
So
here.
my friend had started going here. She messaged me and was like, you need to come to this place. So I started going there. I very quickly became close with the founder and the staff there. And eventually they asked if I wanted to be a board member, and I became the fundraising director.
This was your
there.
first stint as a board member.
Yes.
And then somehow you got to another board. I don't want to go down these rabbit holes too much because I want to get to your entrepreneurship too. We don't have. I could talk to you for hours. Okay.
You can talk to anyone for hours. You just have to take the time to get to know them.
I'm getting the jam. I like that. That's a good takeaway. That's a lesson of the day here. I love it. I got to fast forward though to Virginia and your cat photography stuff. This is really cool. I'm just really amazed. So it was initially, it was kind of, it sounds like the way you described it, it was kind of an urgent need of the organization. You were just jumping in to fill.
Yeah.
Had you ever done a lot of photography historically?
So I had done photography for my own pets for years because this sounds so funny, but my cats had modeled for Etsy shops.
Get out.
And they still model for Etsy shops. So I have, now I would call them friends, but at the time just groups I was a part of that they have Etsy shops where they make pet bandanas. And so my cats model so that I get a discount on bandanas.
That's the compensation.
And I take photos and promote their business.
With that discount, I hope you buy them special treats. So they're getting something for this. Otherwise, your cats are getting dressed up like with bandanas and they don't get anything in return. So hopefully you're
They look really cute in return.
Okay. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I kind of is like a kitty calendars and stuff. Is that the sort of thing?
No, so like
I'm going to drop some pictures in this.
My Instagram account.
Okay, what's your Instagram handle?
It's
if you're willing to share it.
Torties.
We're going to drop that in the show notes, and we're going to show people all these great pictures of.
But like
that's actually a really good picture. The depth perception is extraordinary. That's like really crisp. Folks, it's like a brown cat with a red bandana. It looks really cool. That looks like a professional quality. That she took that picture?
I did.
Damn. Now, do you use your phone or do you have a camera? Or?
So I have 2 different phones for 2 different purposes, and then I have a DSLR.
So you have a burner phone for your...
So the reason is because Samsungs have a feature called single take, which allows you to take a video and then cut frames from it, which for animals is really handy because they move a lot.
Okay.
They're not going to be 4K, so they're a little bit lower resolution. So I have a iPhone 13 Pro that I use whenever I do fundraising events, because rescues will ask me to come and do like Santa photos, for example. And I'll set up a backdrop and a seat for Santa, and people bring their pets and I take photos of those. I don't want my nice camera there because it gets knocked over at least 3 times every event. So I bring the iPhone because I can still get those 4K photos. It's going to adjust to lighting changes really quick. But I'm not risking my nice camera. And then whenever people book shoots with me, I use my nice camera combined with the other 2. I have tripods for all 3.
Can I ask and I have no knowledge, I have zero awareness. It's not a market that I've ever dipped my toe in, to be quite honest. What does a shoot cost? Like, and do you have packages? How does that work? And did you look at other competitors and rivals out there? Like, how fierce is the market of competition to be a animal photographer in this Northern Virginia?
So here's what I've realized myself is that because I had a cat that passed away, I would call her my soul cat.
Sorry.
She passed away in January unexpectedly. And I was so grateful that I had nice photos that I had taken. Mm-hmm. And I reflected on that and said, if I could not take these myself, I would not have nice photos.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford to put out a lot of money for photos for my pets.
Right.
And, it's something that a lot of people want, but not a lot of people can afford. And so my entire model is built on being affordable. Rescues have the same issue where they have very little funding. And so a lot of the fundraising events, I just donate to the rescues and they get anything that's earned from those. But whenever someone books a shoot with me, I'll do a 20-minute session, 25-minute session for $35.
Wow.
I try to keep it really inexpensive because I want to make sure that our furry family members are able to get the same level of memorandum, I guess, in a way that people can afford.
Man, Sierra, you are a saint. I can't believe this. I've learned so much about you. We're going to close this show out, but I just want to tell people just how important it is to lean into the universe when it is presenting itself to you. So the reason we are even sitting here today, which led to this extraordinary episode, it's going to be a great episode. It's going to go crazy. People love animals. I mean, this is a fascinating story. I can't wait to share it. But the only reason it's happening is because Potbelly Sandwich Company was doing a buy one, get one free. I posted on our work food chat, hey, does anyone want to get a free sandwich? I'll buy it for someone. I don't care. It was a very effective marketing gimmick. Okay. You were hot. You were quick on the draw, man. Literally 10 seconds after I posted it. Me, capital letters. So apparently you're pretty hungry. It all worked out.
Yes.
You got me your order. I went and picked it up. Now we're sitting here. One thing leads to another. Lean into these moments of uncertainty and what we call them, circuitous circumstances in the world. It's like the stars aligned for this to occur. It wasn't on our agenda, but here we are. What a remarkable thing.
Can I add to what you're saying?
Please go. Riff on it. Go.
So whenever I decided that I wanted to try and make this a business, I needed a place to set up a studio. Because I have a lot of family members and friends that are allergic to animals, so the basement can't have animals. I'm not willing to
Please
bring
don't
in...
tell me your husband's allergic to animals.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No. I am. So,
you are?
I am.
What? This is a whole nother layer, man. We're going deep on the psychology
We don't
here.
let animals in the basement. Upstairs, we have plenty of animals, but I don't want other people's animals coming in and risking exposing my animals or my animals getting hurt. So I needed a studio space, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I don't have the extra money. And then on Facebook Marketplace, someone was getting rid of a shed. I was like, how am I going to transport a shed? I reached out to a friend to see if they had any ideas, and it happened that he owned a dump truck, and so we went to pick up the shed, and then the shed was too big for the dump truck, so we pulled it completely apart, transported it to my house, rebuilt the shed, and we're in the process of insulating it and adding drywall, and it will be a fully built out studio.
And you got it for free, essentially, but it was to the good nature of your friend that helped you transport it. Your innovation, your what we call this, like, you're willing to overcome obstacles, your persistence.
Yeah, but like,
I love this, man.
all of this was things that like I would have never seen coming. I just like kept my eyes open. So what you're saying about the universe, like the universe has got you, God's got you, whatever you want to call it, it works.
Just be open to it. That's the thing. That's a great way to end this episode. This has been so much fun chatting with my colleague and friend, Sierra Stauffer. Did I get your name right?
Almost.
Stauffer.
Stauffer.
Okay, I'll get that better next time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Tune in next time for Raff's Brain, Riffin with Raff, whatever episodes I have out. Subscribe, like, follow. Doesn't matter to me. You can trash the podcast for all I care. But have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.